Hey guys, this is Thickskinnonsports, June 12th, 2021. This is actually our officially 17th show. We haven't been on in a while, a lot of things going on, but we are back. You can check us out on Twitter, Facebook, or and what else do we have? Instagram. See, I never keep track of social media. But we got a few things we want to talk about today. The first thing is we just had the draft in what one is it? April?
Yep.
April, and we want to talk about, he's a Bengals fan, I'm a Browns fan. We want to talk about the draft analysis and predictions for next season. Now, the Browns went 12-5 last year, as we all know. They have a great defensive end in Myles Garrett, and they picked up Jadeveon Clowney this past season. I don't know how that's going to pan out, especially with Olivier Vernon, but he got hurt quite a bit, but he still had 9 sacks last year. As far as the draft goes, they had us listed at A+ for the Browns. I don't know if you heard about that, but you know, each website has different things.
Well, before we go to the draft, that was an interesting thing you brought up there with Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
So you just added another alpha into the locker room, right?
Yeah.
So how does Jadeveon get along with all the alphas in there? I mean, you got Odell, you got Baker, you've got Myles Garrett, who's the defensive alpha. How does Jadeveon Clowney fit in that?
Well, I mean, as far as I hear, Seattle, he was fine with the locker room. Obviously, Houston Texans, he was fine, especially on the end with J.J. Watt. I think I haven't heard anything wrong about him. I know he has an ego, just like any other defensive end, but he hasn't really shown the stats or proven anything the last couple of years.
3 sacks in 3 years? Something like that?
I think it was 3 sacks last year, but he didn't have much. He hasn't had over 10 in probably 3 or 4 years because he's been hurt, half the season every year. But draft analysis, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
But was that you? Oh, okay. The Browns, though, they gave me A+. I don't know if it's an A+. I think it's more like a B+ maybe. They got Newsome. And they had...
was that Northwestern?
Yes, and they had 27th pick, I believe, 26th pick, and they also had linebacker out of Notre Dame. I cannot pronounce his name, and I'm not going to. But he's supposed to be a steal in the first round, but his heart condition was bad.
Yep.
Now, we also signed the defensive lineman from OSU. I can't pronounce it. Tani Tagiai or something like that. In the 4th round, Togiai. I think he went out a year too early, but all in all, I think you really look at something in the overall aspect. I believe it's a B+ for sure. What do you think with the Bengals though? Because I think they had some good picks, but I don't know if they're up there at a B+.
Well, I mean, I think they did good with Jamar Chase. I think getting that explosive wide receiver. I mean, we've got 3 number 1s as wide receivers right now with Boyd, Higgins, and Jamar Chase, and then we picked up Snoop Dogg's.
Yeah, I think they have an excellent receiving core. I think it's actually better than the Browns as far as depth goes. I mean, you have OBJ that's hurt.
How young, the talent, and the age.
I think with all the young talent they have in the receiving corps, when you look at Jarvis, he's not your number 1 receiver ever.
Yeah.
He catches, 90 to 100 yards or receiving catches a year, but he only averages 10 yards a catch.
Yeah.
Compared to OBJ, I think he's averaged like 13.4 yards a catch, but he hasn't had a Pro Bowl season in 3 years. So
he can't stay healthy.
And he's hurt. He's supposed to be back for the first season, but that has nothing to do with it. Really, he gets hurt. He hasn't had a Pro Bowl season in 3 years.
If he's not on pace for 1,000 yards by mid-season, he's gone. He's traded.
I don't disagree.
He's gone.
But you also have to look at the record, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, what if they're 5-0, 4-0, and he may not have the yards or receptions, but they're winning?
Mm-hmm.
You take that versatility plus experience away. I don't know. It just depends on what people are offering at the time. Now, I will say that we have potential, especially with Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Higgins. They're both capable, but I don't think they're at the level as the Bengals as far as the depth of receiver.
No, I felt like Carmen, who we picked up offensive lineman out of Clemson. People were down on him because he put on a lot of weight. But in his OTAs right now, he's showing his stuff. He's doing really good. Him and Jonah Williams on both the blind sides of Joe Burrow is going to be good things. And then the guy that's going to shock the world is Osai, defensive end out of Texas.
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
Yep, good old Osai. And then we also got the number 1 kicker in the draft in McPherson out of Florida. So I mean, I thought that I would sit there right in that B+B range for the draft. And a lot of people got a lot of analysis, and everybody else has got the Bengals at going 4-13 because what is it, 17 games now?
What are you predicting for next year? Since that's what as far as the Browns go, I think that will win every bit of 10 games. I don't know if any more than that, but if we get to 11 or 12 again, since they have a 17-game season now,
I see an 8-9.
So
8-9.
Okay,
And then to go over the Browns, so the Bengals aren't as interesting as the Browns because everybody has Browns in their Super Bowl.
Well, their roster, their roster. If you look at it on paper, the roster is great.
Yeah, I mean,
you just gotta go out and prove it.
You look at the talent. Like this is what they keep talking about with the Cleveland Browns. Like you put their talent up against any other team in the NFL, and they've got the best talent in the NFL. But is Stefanski going to get them where they need to go?
Well, that is
Is Baker going to get them where they need to go?
I think the coaching staff's there. I think the roster's there. It's all just paper stats now, but
they have a coach that the players can look up to now.
Yeah, and overall, I think Browns will make the playoffs again. I think you're pretty much on the Bengals as far as 8-9. I think maybe go either way, 1 or 2. They'll be in the mix, I think, for a little while, but they'll tail off at the end of the season. But
here's 8-9 Bengals, Browns 12-5, and this is going to upset some people. They lose their first game in the playoffs.
Who, Browns?
They do not make the AFC Championship. I mean, you've got every analysis out there. Just watched it the other day, where you had 2 people pick Chiefs win the AFC, 2 people have the Browns win the AFC. But we are still talking about the Browns.
Yeah, it's a believe it when you see it type of thing again this year because they have even more of a bigger roster as far as stats go overall.
Yep.
We'll see. But that's neither here or there. We will find out. That's our predictions and draft analysis. We'll go to the opposite side now. Baseball is in season right now. We all know that. And obviously I'm a Reds fan. He's an Indians fan. We're going to talk about the season review for a second and predictions for this season. Obviously, I think this is the 62nd game of the year. I think this year for the Reds. I don't know about the Indians, but as far as the season review for the Reds, I think they're right on where they should, if not a little bit better, especially with their offensive lineup.
How they came out firing.
Well, Castellanos 362,
Man.
Jesse Winker 344 coming into today. I've never seen this in all the years I've been, analyzing, sports and everything else. To have a number 1 and 2 on the same team this far along, especially 62 games in the year where it's number 1 and 2, pretty much in hits, not quite the same, but in top 5.
You guys have the best hitters in.
And then 1 and 2, yeah. Then you got Tyler Naquin. That was a big pickup, free agent from the Indians, which we all didn't know.
That's what happens.
I would have gave him up too if I seen his stats, what he's done the last few years, especially with getting hurt again.
Cleveland does. We don't develop hitters in Cleveland. We develop
pitchers. Yes.
We develop pitchers, and that's why we sit at the 500 mark. That's why we sit. Well, we 5-6 games above 500 right now. We're 5 games out of first place behind Chicago, 33-27. But we're always in the talk. We're always in the chat for the playoffs. And we always ride that wild card. We always ride the wild card. And which is crazy because we have the Twins are usually good, and you had Detroit years back, and now you got the White Sox that are good, and we are always just sitting there in that number 2. We're just always at number 2. We're always just sitting in that wild card.
But you're usually in the playoffs every year, or close to it.
Cincinnati's
had 3 seasons the last 10, 11 years. But in the season review, though, where do you think do you think they're right on, or do you think they're ahead? Do you think they're behind? I mean,
they're way ahead than what I thought they was going to be.
I think so too. Yep. I mean, I really have to say that I did not
with that batting lineup. I mean, we were dead last in batting average at the beginning of the year, the first quarter.
And the pitching's right on. Even just they haven't skipped the beat since the last 5 years. And that's without
Plesac's out with the unfortunate events that he had taking off his shirt.
Yeah.
But Savali's he's doing his thing, and we're picking up a lot of these pitchers out of Columbus, and they're doing their thing. So I mean, that's what Francona does. He develops pitchers.
Yeah, and I agree. And our pitching, I thought, would be just as good this year as last year, but obviously it has turned out to be the case. Yes, you have Sonny Gray issues.
You guys got some of the top names in baseball past.
Yes, but overall, I think the offense has taken off.
Yep.
I mean,
but who's your biggest letdown
as far as what
your pitcher?
Michael Lorenzen, because he's been hurt. I mean, we have to be honest. If he hasn't played, he's a disappointment because he's hurt.
But who's your other stud that had a 7.35 ERA?
Are you talking about Garrett?
No.
Now, I don't. Our Doolittle has been okay. I think overall, obviously, the relief has been terrible. Starting pitcher's been subpar. In between medium. In the 15 range. But I think overall, though, as a team, in the win-loss category, I think we've done right at par where we should be. And we still have a chance, and we're only 5 games out of the division and 5 games out of the wild card.
Who's in the lead of your division?
I think Milwaukee, as of today, and Chicago's lost 3 in a row. So, now, predictions for the rest of the season. That's a tough question. I don't know. It can go either which way with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's proved last year, to win 6-7 games in a row and to get over that hump with the pitching, but the pitching has not showed up yet. So I think, honestly, I think we'll miss the playoffs in the wild card.
You guys are a trendy team. Reds have been a trendy team.
Streaky team, yes.
Yeah. And you guys, you're a streaky team, and you guys get on that slump, and you stay on that slump for a while. And that's where, and that'll happen at the end of the year.
Okay. Well, I mean, what do you think about Indian? Do you think they're going to push for the wild card? Do you think they're still certainly in the division.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it's only been 62 games in the year. There's still 100 left.
I don't think Chicago holds up to it. I don't think they hold up to it. It's going to be.
But you think they'll finish second to get in the wild card?
I think we'll come up short to win the division.
It's a strong division.
Yep, and we'll get the wild card. But it'll be fun with Chicago. Okay. It'll be fun.
All right. Well, that is our segment for that. But it's going to be close call here. I think they're really both right on where they need to be.
Just as long as we're not playing in those one-off games.
Yeah. This is Thick Skin on Sports. We are back after months, but we are back. We're starting a new season. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. I keep forgetting the other one. Instagram. I don't do this stuff. We've got 2 other people to do it. I don't do it. But check us out. Questions, comments, please, everything. We still are partnered with FNX. You can check them out at fnx.com. They have great apparel. They have they're like a GNC, for instance, and they have a lot of stuff that
if you sign up for their newsletter, they send you a ton of savings. I get it all every day.
Yeah,
a ton of savings.
So definitely check them out. We're going to get into other sports. We like doing different sports. You guys know that. Anthony's specialty, the garbage segment, and I'll let him go with it and lead the way.
So here in Columbus, we had the luxury of having the Memorial Tournament here this past weekend. And the talk of the tournament was not of who had won the tournament, but of what had happened at the end of round 3. And we all know we've been going through a pandemic for over a year and a half now. And John Rahm, who was obliterating everybody in the tournament, he was up 6. He was at 16 under.
He was up 6 or 7. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely up 6 when he got off the field.
So they find out at 4:15 that afternoon that he had tested positive for COVID, and his round did not end until 2.5 hours later, and he sinks the putt to go up 6 by the end of the round 3 to where he was going to be the last person teeing off the next day, and no one was really going to catch him. And when you watch, the rest of the tournament, no one got anywhere near that score. But how they handled it, how the PGA handled notifying him that he had coronavirus was absolute garbage. He comes off the 18th hole. He walks up. They stop him before, he's out there in front of all the crowd, the fans, even the commentators were shocked by it. TV, everybody's watching him, and just sees the guy break down. And I just felt that was very, inappropriate, disrespectful, especially for a game that's supposed to be high class.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any class in that. If you already waited for the guy to get through the 18 holes, wait till he gets in the clubhouse. You don't walk up to a mask. And the guys that told him that he was tested positive for coronavirus, both were not wearing masks. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
So that was just complete classless. It was utter disrespectful, and I just felt that was straight up garbage.
Well, this is a tough thing. I don't think they're right or wrong in this situation. It's an unfortunate situation. I don't think this has happened this year in golf at all, or past year, so to say. He was leading by 6. He was the defending champion of last year.
Yep. Be the first one to do it since Tiger.
Yeah, I think he's actually number 3 in the world right now, behind Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson. And Dustin Johnson missed the cut terribly. Justin Thomas did okay as
he's
far as I know.
He's winning this weekend right now, though.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you had Patrick Cantley, 12 under, and Colin Morikawa at 12 under. But they were 6 shots back at that point. Now they go in the final round tied for first.
Yep.
You're talking about $1.7 million on the line that he lost, that Jon Rahm lost. Now, that's unfortunate, but how would you like to be the second person, and now you're tied for first, and Patrick Cantley end up winning it, I guess, in playoffs.
And they were 12 under, weren't they?
Yes.
Didn't they go to the playoff with that 12 under?
I believe so. So, now, we can't just say Jon Rahm wouldn't. I don't think he's going to lose 6 shots in the last round, but we couldn't have predicted that's where they would be 12 under at the end of the day. But I think the handling of it, it's really a 50-50 shot. Either way you look at it, there's going to be a pros and cons to it both ways. Unfortunately, that's the way it rolled, and there's nothing you can do about it now. Patrick Cantley got another win on his PGA list. His wins, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. I can't remember how many he's won, but it's a few. And
he's top 5 right now in FedEx.
Yeah, he probably is, and he's definitely top 8 or 10 in the world ranking. Mm-hmm. So congratulations to him, though. Either way, you look at it, I don't think it's a competitive sport. So something could have happened to Jon Rahm. We don't know, but he was a defending champion. Unfortunately, that he got the COVID, and they let him know in the 18th hole. Nothing you could do about it. But staying into golf, I want to go back and talk about a few weeks ago with Phil Mickelson winning, and was at the PGA, right? Mm-hmm. And it's if you guys don't know, I believe it's his 6th major title. He tied Nick Faldo for 12th all time. He's still got a long way to go to get the tie. He's not going to do that. No.
He was unstoppable that weekend.
But he looked flawless. His driving looked like it was 20 years ago. He
had 17 of 18 fairways, all 4 rounds.
Yeah, he was very consistent, and that's what you need in any sport. You got to stay consistent, but he was very consistent in all of his shot control, especially on the 18th hole when he had 10,000 people behind him. I love to see it. It reminded me of Tiger Woods. I know you were talking about it, and you were talking about it as well. It's good to see the sport back, especially after COVID, but do I think he still has it? That's the big question. I don't think this is a fluke, but I think he's just been doing a lot of practicing and to perfect his shot.
We could get him a towel.
Now, whether that's to say he'll win another one, no. I don't think he'll win another one. I think he may win another PGA event. But I think he's mostly set his mind on just strictly the majors.
I think he made a mistake in taking the week off.
Well,
I would have kept going.
But maybe he's content with the 6 majors, and he probably will never win another one. He's 50 years old.
Hit up the Memorial, hit up the one we got this week, and then U.S. Opens next week, right?
Yes, it is, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
But do you think you think he still has it overall?
Yeah, I mean, after seeing what he did.
I would like to see the next major in the U.S. Open. Obviously, that's not going to be a tall tale.
That's why I was hoping he would play this weekend or last weekend, just so he could see like where he was at.
I mean, I don't know. He's getting older. Maybe he needs some rest. Who knows? Maybe you want to celebrate it. I don't know. But 6th major of all time, or 6th major for him all time, and 12th with Nick Faldo. You can't beat it. He still had a legendary career. He's won over 40-some tournaments in the PGA, which is, I think, top 5, 8. I mean, something like that. Does he still got it? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see, and see if he keeps at it. But either way, that's great for him to win one, and congratulations, Phil. We got babies everywhere today. That's all right. This is Thick Skin on Sports. We have a few more segments tonight. We're just glad to be back after a few months. And just check us out, especially on YouTube. Subscribe or like, ask questions, comments. We love it. Keep it coming at us. Facebook, Twitter, whatever. You could find us on Thick Skin on Sports. Let's go to hockey now. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not huge on hockey. You're more the hockey expert. You were talking about the Seth Jones states he won't resign with Jackets. Now, I did not know about this until, if you guys don't know, Anthony Manley comes up with the lineups. Okay, he goes once a week whenever we do shows. He comes up with the lineups, but he did mention something about Seth Jones didn't want to resign. I did not know anything about this until he said something a day later. I checked it out. It was a surprise to me and it was a shock to me. Go ahead and talk about that too, because I don't really know much about it, honestly.
So you look up the Columbus Blue Jackets, and one thing that we keep talking about is why do we keep losing all of our big names? Why do we develop? So Seth Jones, someone we drafted. Pierre-Luc Dubois, someone we drafted. These are people that we drafted, and we've developed them into great players, to top players, and then they don't want to stay in Columbus. They want to leave. So the question is, what are we doing here in Columbus to make it, to keep them here in the city? And one thing is, like, a lot of people were complaining about John Tortorella. Well, he's gone. They got rid of him. They said that he was causing a crazy locker room. He's gone. So they go and they hire the assistant coach, Brad Larson. He was just hired, 2 days ago?
Yeah, two days ago. I did see that.
So he's well loved with the players, and I don't know if this is a Yarmo way of trying to keep Seth Jones and keeping players that we have here. We got Line, we have Roslovic, we have Domi, and we have Seth Jones. He's all players.
Domi's hurt too right now, right? He's out a couple months, I believe.
6 to 8 months.
Okay.
But these are all players that are coming up on contract extensions, and why would they want to stay when you're seeing big players like Seth Jones leave? I mean, granted, look at PLD. He goes up to Winnipeg, and his stats aren't even near Patrick Laine's or Roslovic. So, we won the trade.
Obviously, Patrick Laine did not perform the way he usually does.
He was an average player.
But I think that had a lot to do with
better.
Tortorella. I think it's the coaching matter, because I'm not saying that Tortorella, I think he's a great coach. We should have kept him. I wish we kept him, but it didn't happen. But Tortorella has pushed some players aside and said this is the way or the highway. Yep. But he is the coach. He's the ultimate person that controls the team, and whether you like it or not, he took us to 3 playoff seasons. Took us to win the first round, swept Tampa Bay. That's unreal. That was the number 1 seed. I think Seth, it all started with Tortorella, and maybe he doesn't like the organization that's inside, that's at the top. We don't know. I have not heard anything about it.
I'd put up our fan base against a lot of the fan bases out there, though. Like, if you go to any of those home games, it's crazy.
We all know Ohio fans, period, whether it comes to the Browns, Ohio State, which we'll get to here next segment. Cleveland, Cincinnati. I mean, it's a sports town or sports state, and when something like this happens, and they're such a big hockey town, believe it or not. They have one of the highest payrolls in the NHL, believe it or not. We go to the playoffs, believe it or not, most of the time. I mean, the last 5-6 years. I just think that was something that happened more in the organization up top than anything for Seth Jones wanting to say that. Now, that's just rumors from what I hear. I don't know if it's the absolute truth. Do you?
No.
I mean, I have not heard anything since the time that you told me last week that we were setting this up. So who knows? That's something to keep an eye on. I'm sure that we'll talk about that and research more as the time goes on when we do our next show. But this will definitely be something that's on our next show because this is just starting to happen, and we'll wait and see what happens. But we're going to keep going down the list. We got a lot of things for sports-wise, every sport you can think of. And now we're going to college real quick. OSU recruiting class, we've been talking about this for months. Next year's with Quinn Ewers, number 1 prospect, supposed to be better than Trevor Lawrence. Who knows? But he can throw it 70 yards deep. So he has potential, just like Troy Smith won the Heisman in 07. Who knows? Maybe he will be the next Heisman Trophy winner. But either way, we'll talk about the recruiting class. And they've done a great job, especially with Travion Henderson. That's the number 1 running back this year. Then they got Caleb Burton next year, Quinn Ewers, Jaheim Singletary. They also have Gabe Powers that turned into a 5th star this past week. Yeah. They got C.J. Hicks that was linebacker, number 1 in the state. Gabe Powers, number 2 in the state. I don't know if that's swapped, but either way, we have them both. Gabe Powers now rated 17th in the nation, 5th star. Jaheim is 24th, I believe. Caleb he was a 5-star, Caleb Burton. He moved to a 4-star, I believe, because he was hurt. Either way, we have a very strong number 1 rated back again in the recruiting class. I mean,
it just seems like they visit Columbus and they leave.
Yeah.
With sign in the dotted line, like what's Ryan Day doing?
Well,
he can't complain.
He's been very consistent, and I'm not gonna lie to you. He's been more consistent than Urban has, but Urban trained him and taught him and coached him to be who he is today.
I mean, our next 3 years were number 1. We just took over Florida State for the 2023.
But that's really early, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
still
anything can happen. We know how Alabama and Florida State and Florida used to do. I think Alabama still does it, but at the end they'll tail on 10 more recruits. Who knows? But right now, Ohio State is digging early and they're getting the recruits that they want. I know they have 1 more defensive end, 5-star. I know he's 3 rated overall, coming from Oregon or do you know anything? Now, all I know is he's really took the time on his recruiting. I know Ohio State had him recruited this past year for a long time. Do you know who I'm talking about? He's a defensive lineman, number 3 in the nation. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he's visiting Ohio State, but he's in the middle. Ohio State's in the middle group, and Alabama's last. So usually when you go last, that's usually what the team they're picking.
Yep.
Either way, even if we didn't get him, we're still number 2 in the nation overall this past year. Next year, we're number 1 still. And 23, like you said, we're number 1 early, very early. But the predictions for this year, well, I think when we think about Ohio State, you know this, we've won 4 Big Ten titles in a row. It's never been done. We're creeping up on Michigan overall series. I think it's like now 58 and 51 now, so we're dominating that. I think we haven't lost in, 14 out of 15 years, I believe. It's really not even a match, but we won't talk about that really. But I honestly think we'll go 12-0 and win the Big Ten. As far as quarterback goes, that's neither here nor there. I think you got a 5-star in Kyle McCord, freshman, yes, but you have.
He's your pocket passer.
Yes, and then who else do you have? You have
C.J. Stroud,
and he was a 4-star coming out of California. And then you have the other one. I can't remember his name. What's his name? You have 3 different quarterbacks. Jack. I can't remember his name. It's Jack something. Jack. You know who I'm talking about? He's not going to make it, but either way, we'll go with Kyle McCord and C.J. Stroud.
It's going to be C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
He's just going to be keeping the seat warm for when Ewers comes in.
Yeah, I can't remember all the names. Come on. You talk about 3 deep, but overall, I think C.J. Stroud
in wide receivers.
Yeah, we're best receivers by far for the next 5 years. But when you talk about quarterbacks, Kyle McCord has a chance to C.J. Stroud's mess up. Okay, C.J. Stroud is a very athletic quarterback that's tall. I think 6'3", 215. He could be a number 1 pick if he has a good year this year. And they're actually talking about him one and done because just like Dwayne Haskins, it could happen.
Yeah, especially
Because you have Quinn Ewers coming back next year. I mean, what do you think? Then you might have Kyle McCord transfer to SEC team. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
I could see probably a quarter of our team going to the transfer portal next year when they don't.
But that's common now. With elite teams, Clemson, Alabama's, Ohio State, you know, I would say some Oklahoma's, Trey Sermon, Ohio State, obviously. But I don't think they're in the elite group like Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama. But you're going to have stuff like that happen on a normal basis. That's the way recruiting is and transferring portal is. But what do you think?
That's where the recruiting is coming from now for transfer portal.
So, but you think C.J. Stroud,
Yep.
right, and Kyle McCord second.
Yep.
And I think the Jack guy, I know he's third string. I just can't remember his last name. Just tell me if you remember that on the question, on the comments below. If C.J. Stroud, I think, messes up a little bit, especially in the Oregon game, you got to think about this. Second game of the year, September.
Yep.
It's a noon game in Fox. That's the big thing now. If he even messes up a little bit in the first half, I think you're going to put Kyle McCord in.
Yep.
Especially Marvin Harrison Jr. What if he What if he comes up? They were 1-2 punch in Pennsylvania. So, but I still think they're 12-0 next year.
But Kyle McCord's the guy that you want to pass to all of these wide receivers because he's your pocket passer.
He's got but see, maybe they can move him, benefit him for both sides. You know, pocket passer, running quarter. Who knows? Because C.J. Stroud can still pass the ball. I watched it in the spring ball. But what are you? Do you think they'll go 12-0?
No, yeah. I mean,
So you're looking at a fifth Big Ten title in a row?
There's no challenge for them.
Obviously,
in the
team
Big
up
Ten.
north. Okay. I mean, I think this is a really simple.
Looking at that schedule with the Big Ten, Indiana. I mean,
Indiana's tough. Penn State is always tough. Play is tough.
Penix Jr. is it.
You can never look past Michigan, even though we've beaten them every year, the last 10 years. But you still have to look at them. It's a big rivalry. Probably the biggest rivalry in sports, in any sports. But it's exciting time of the year. We got maybe 60 days left, if that, before the season starts. So I can't wait. We're expecting full capacity, and I hope that still maintains. But yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll have any updates on anything else that occurs, especially on the next show.
See if we'll have a 12-team playoff.
Well, I would say that for the next show because there's a lot of things going on first that we don't know about, especially with Kirk Herbstreit saying something. I don't know if you mean, but we'll talk about that later because that's a whole new thing that could take a while to talk about. That might be a whole show. I don't know because it's a big deal, especially because we're all college football people in the state of Ohio. So the last thing we'll go about, I'm not really. This is kind of funny to me, and this is Thickskinnonsports. Question, comment below. The Lakers, obviously, we all heard this. They won the title last year. They've had a lot of injuries this year, especially LeBron and everything else. They got knocked out in the first round. It doesn't make me really cry at all. I'm not a big LeBron fan anymore, but LeBron continues to show no class in this. He's very aggravated. Always mad. It seems like every time they lose, especially because he's used to going to titles.
He walked off the court 4 minutes and 50 seconds left when they were losing by 14, 15.
Yeah.
So
I don't have really a whole lot to say about this other than
you think LeBron gets another title?
I think he'll go back to Cleveland next year. Who knows? Who knows with LeBron? LeBron does what he wants to do. LeBron is LeBron. He can cancel his contract right now if he wanted to. He can go to Spain and build a whole team by himself and
he's got his movie coming.
Go to the NBA and win.
He's got his Bron.
Yeah, who knows? Space Jam, everything else. I don't know.
That's who he's going to go play for. He's going to go play for the Toon Squad instead of the USA.
Yeah, well.
And that was another comment he made. Instead of going to go play for USA and the Olympics, he said, no, I'm just going to go play for the Toon Squad. Like, who says that?
And guess what, LeBron? I've seen the preview, and it was terrible.
It looks bad.
I'm just saying. I'm just going off my honest opinion, but
MJ's sitting in the back corner with his cigar, just
MJ number one,
just cracking up. Like, just keep yourself looking back, man.
Yeah.
Make yourself look back.
Yeah, I knew
your legacy's out the door. You've been to 3 different teams, and you're the.
Still not better than Kobe either. I don't think Kobe was just an all-natural talent, and he was legendary. And all Iron team really. He showed up for every game. But yeah, that's it really for the Lakers. I mean, do you have really much to say about that?
I just
other
wanna-
than we really wanted to talk about that real quick and get it off our chest because it was kind of funny to me. But this was not a really short show, but this is the beginning of something to come, especially in the summertime. We got quite a bit of shows we want to do. We may do one or two a week. We're going to try, but we're going to do the best we can. And it's good seeing everybody out there. Please comment below on YouTube. Please subscribe. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and what was the other one? Instagram. There you go. I'm just going to have them do it all the time. But it was, see you guys, and this is Thick Skin on Sports.